everybody, we need to get started.
You can always do the da-da-da-da-da trick.
Okay, everybody take your seats if you can, please.
Good morning. Hi, we're going to start.
So you need the voice of authority here. Good morning. We're going to have additional music in addition to Sandra's lovely playing. We're going to have an opening song this morning. You're going to find the words sitting in front of you on your tables. And the choir's going to come up and help lead. And it's a familiar song to most of us. It's Come, Come, Whoever You Are. And we're going to do it as a round, and you are welcome to participate.
Better split them up.
Yeah, it's going to be hard. So we're going to do 2 times through in unison, and then the next time we're going to split into parts. And this side of the room, starting on this side of the table and over to the windows here, and you're going to be divided. And then the other side of the room is going to be the second part, and that's from this table, center of this table, over to the windows here. Okay? And the choir will lead you.
I will direct you all. I will direct, back to the voice of authority.
Yeah, really.
I will direct and the choir will lead. So if you're on this side of the room, you'll start, the third time we go through it, you'll start. And the third time we go through it, if you're on this side of the room, you wait a minute. Okay? And I'm going to give us all a note. The words and the music are on the table. The words are up on the screen. Be brave. Be bold. Are we ready? 1, 2, 3, ready? Come, come, whoever you are, wanderer, worshiper, lover of leading, ours is no caravan of despair. Come yet again. Now do it again all together. Come, come, whoever you are, wanderer, worshiper, lover of leaving, ours is no caravan of despair. Come yet. Now you guys wait for a minute, and you guys. Come, come, whoever you are. Come, come, whoever you are. Ours is no caravan of despair. Ours is no caravan. Again. Come, 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 whoever you are, wanderer, come yet again, come. You need to give yourselves a round of applause for that. That was good.
Y'all were brave. Good morning. After that rousing start, welcome to Westside Unitarian Universalist Church. My name is Linda Phippen, and my pronouns are she and her. As a member of the worship committee, I am pleased to be the worship associate today. We're certainly glad to see all of you who braved the weather to come out here in person, but we're also more than happy to welcome those of you who are joining us on YouTube, whether you're here today or at some time in the future. If you are here in person, you do hope you'll join us after the service. We have a special, special activities after the service today. It's the kickoff of our annual canvas, including lunch today, potluck lunch, some games, and some other entertainment. You're absolutely welcome to join us, even if you have never heard of a Canvas, have never been here before. I think I see a lot of familiar faces. Anyway, so if you don't worry if you haven't brought a potluck item, that's fine, but we welcome you to join us, and it should be a good time. Here at Westside, you will find welcome and acceptance, regardless of who you are, and how you identify yourself, or how you choose to live your life, or what your beliefs or spiritual path may be. Our goal as a community is to live our lives with love and to care for each other, for those near and far with whom we share the world, and the world itself and its web of life, of which we are all a part. We believe that love is a unifying force through which our community and the larger community around us will thrive. If you check your order of service, you will find announcements about happenings at Westside and other useful information. If you're streaming on YouTube, the announcements will have been up on the screen before the service started. Announcements are also available on our website at westsideuuc.org and in our weekly e-newsletter. If you don't get the newsletter and would like to subscribe, you can use the QR code on the screen or on your order of service, or you can also subscribe on our website. I do have one special announcement. Coming up on April 27th, the service will be having a puppet play. And if you are interested in participating in that, you need to let Ellen, or Suzanne know today. Please raise your hands, those two, and so that if you do want to participate, this is your chance to do so. And now I'm going to turn the service over to Reverend Carol for our singing bowl.
Good morning, everybody. Good morning. You all were very brave singing. You did an awesome job. I want to say a special good morning to those who are with us virtually. We have a larger community. This room is full, but the actual larger community is actually even more full because we have people who participate with us from actually around the country, not just around the region, but around the country every week, which some of you may not know. So for those of you who might not know me yet, I'm Reverend Carol Badeau, privileged to serve here as minister. My pronouns are she, her, and hers. Today we're celebrating community, and which is why we're sitting in this weird configuration, because we're going to have a party. So what I want to invite you to do, before I invite the bowl to sound, is a little experiment. If you are willing, close your eyes or look at something, not other people or me, just look at something neutral or close your eyes for a minute. Now imagine yourself completely alone. Just notice just you. Because we are all completely separate individuals. We are all unique. We are all our own separate selves. And just become aware of you, yourself. And take a couple deep breaths. And when you're ready, open your eyes or look up and look around. And really look around. We all tend, it's easy to look up here, but look around. We are a community. We are all together. We are different ages. We are different life experiences. We are different stories. We are different beliefs. We are all kinds of different people, but we are all community together. So as I invite the bowl to sound, I just want to invite you to see if you can hold both of those truths together at the same time.
Mary Frances will be lighting our chalice and our community candles this morning. We do light our 2 community candles in addition to our chalice. one that represents the sad and even horrifying things that may be happening in the world, and one that reminds us not to despair, because there are things that we and others can and will do to make things better, and to remember and notice the beauty and the renewal, especially in this beautiful springtime. Our reading today comes from Pat Uribe-Lichty from the UUA Worship Web, and it is called Different Yet United. We come from many places, along different paths, bringing different truths. We come with different histories and different realities, and yet we come together as one people, with faith that we can use our differences to heal ourselves and each other, to bring wholeness to a fractured world. We come seeking to find community, to find acceptance of who we are. In this place, we may find others who are much like us and others who are much different. May our lit chalice remind us that we are a people taught by different stories, with many voices, but always one people, working for a world where love creates justice and justice gives birth to peace. Amen.
So we have a special candle today that I want to tell you about. So every year on March 31st, the world observes Transgender Day of Visibility. This was this week, to raise awareness about transgender people. It is a day to celebrate the lives and contributions of trans people, while also drawing attention to the disproportionate levels of poverty, discrimination, and violence the community faces. International Transgender Day of Visibility was created about 15 years ago in 2010 by trans advocate Rachel Crandall. Rachel Crandall was the head of Transgender Michigan and created TDOV in response to the overwhelming majority of media stories about trans people being focused on violence. So the news stories we will often hear about trans people are about crimes against trans people, struggles for trans people, but she really hoped to create a day where we could celebrate the lives of trans people while simultaneously acknowledging that discrimination. So this candle today, it's a few days past Transgender Day of Visibility, but the purpose of this candle is to say that we are a light, celebrating the lives, supporting the lives, and honoring the lives of all of our trans family members, friends, and beloved ones in our community. So I just want us all to hold that in our hearts, not just today, not just this week, but at all times. Now, I believe if the kids want to go play down the hallway, Leslie is ready in the back if anybody wants to go do something else. So Leslie can wave her hand. Anybody can go, well, you know, if you decide you're going to hang in here, you can do that. But Leslie is ready to go play. So, okay, while the kids go, I have a riddle/quiz for the rest of you. All right, here's your question. What do an elephant, a stained glass window, and a flying pig all have in common? They're what? Have I stumped you? Think about it for a second. An elephant, a stained glass window, and a flying pig.
Symbols.
Okay, Linda is on the right track. She says they are symbols. What's that, Elizabeth?
I was going to say they can all be found in Cincinnati.
They can all be found in Cincinnati. Okay.
Because the marathon there is called the Flying Pig.
The marathon is, okay, that's a good guess, but that's not it. Okay. Okay, here we go. They are all symbols, sometimes used as similes, sometimes as metaphors, for Unitarian Universalism. They are three of the primary symbols used. Us clergy people know this stuff because we got to do it all the time, right? So, depending on how they're used, there's sometimes similes, metaphors, sometimes there are all kinds of different ways we use them. What in the world do these three things share that make them apt descriptions for Unitarian Universalism? Here's some possible answers. They are interesting and complex. They can be quite colorful. They make the basis for great stories. But what really makes them images that represent Unitarian Universalism, and the reason they are in fact so often included in sermons and essays and newsletter blogs and you name it, is that they represent multiplicity. And you're all like, what? Okay. The stained glass window is obvious, right? This particular image was made famous in an essay by past UUA President John Behrens. So, right, think of the stained glass window. It's lots of different colors and shapes and angles and sizes and textures, right? Each part of the glass is different, interpreting the light in its own way. John Behrens used this. It's one of our older, little books that's basic essays explaining Unitarian Universalism. The opening essay in one of those by John Behrens describes Unitarian Universalism as a stained glass window. And I will tell you, if you are like, oh, I've never heard that, you can be grateful because it has been used to death in the world of essays. I believe there are actually congregations that have used it as part of their name. There's all kinds of stuff, okay? Okay, the elephant is a bit more subtle, but I know at least one person in the room who can probably guess this elephant one as a story about multiplicity. Yeah, he's nodding. Of course, David knows which one we're talking about. This is a story that gets told over and over and over again to represent Unitarian Universalism. The story of the blind, or sometimes blindfolded men or women, sometimes advisors, sometimes princes, sometimes average people, is a story that's found in ancient Jain, Hindu, and Buddhist sources dating all the way back to 500 years before the Common Era. So in this story, a number of individuals who are either blind or blindfolded are asked to identify a large object by touch, the aforementioned elephant, right? So imagine you're blindfolded and there's an elephant, and they touch it. Some describe it as long and tubular. Others describe it as ropey and like a whip. Others describe it as wide, very wide and flat. Others describe it as like a tree trunk. You get the gist. Each person's limited perspective, where they're standing and they touch the elephant, offers some small piece of the greater truth that you can only see the whole picture when they combine their perspectives. Not when they argue about it, like that's part of some of the versions of the story, right? They argue, no, it's like this, no, it's like that. Has anyone ever been in a UU setting where we argued and said, no, it's like this, no, it's like this, no, it's like this, right? So the elephant story gets used a lot. I will tell you that ministers, you can actually ask yourself the question, if the minister marches out this story, you can say, is there any conflict going on in the congregation right now that I should be thinking about? Maybe, because we tend to pull it out in times when it is needed. And of course, our last image, the flying pig. Anybody remember what the image of the flying pig is? Jet pig. Thank you. Ellen has the mug. Please hold the mug high. Jet pig. Jet pig. You will remember, if you have been here for very long, many recent sermons about jet pig. So here's a refresher for those of you who might not be familiar with jet pig. Jet pig is the acronym and the new image ironic and silly, and sort of some of us are dismayed that this became the new image of our principles. It used to be that our 7 principles were described as a rainbow. Well, we revised our principles, and JETPIG, the letters JETPIG, actually now are the letters that start the statements for our principles. So, this is your opportunity for audience participation. J? Justice. Excellent. E? Equity. Excellent. T? Transformation. Okay, you guys are so making my day. P? Pluralism. I? Interdependence. And G? Generosity. Okay, now how many of you were cheating and looking on your order of service? Yep. Nicely done. Nicely done. So JETPIG, justice, equity, transformation, pluralism, interdependence, and generosity, it isn't actually meant to demonstrate the diversity amongst us as individuals necessarily in quite the same way as the stained glass window or the elephant, but it does give us an excellent description of the ways that we express our differences. So for each of us, there are particular passions or commitments that take top billing in our personal expression of UU values. Some of us prioritize anti-racism work, or maybe supporting LGBTQIA plus justice. You know, some of these are equity and pluralism. Some of us are particularly concerned with environmental issues, which is more about interdependence. Some of us tend to do the work of making the world a better place by being generous with our time or our financial resources, while others of us focus more on personal and interpersonal transformation and growth as a way to build the world we dream of. That we even need an acronym as complex and silly as JETPIG by itself demonstrates that we are a complex, multifaceted people trying to do a lot of things in a lot of ways. Okay, so we're multifaceted. What's the glue? What is the glue that holds us together? What holds us together in all that diversity and all those different ways of seeing and being and doing? It is going to sound trite, and yes, you can cheat by looking on your order of service again if you'd like to do so. What is the glue in the center? Love. Love is the center. It is, if you don't have it in front of you, some of you, those of you who are with us virtually, won't have this visual in front of you. The new logo for the denomination is a chalice with the word love as the flame, and as the center flame, and then around it, these spiraling flames, rainbow colors, of the other use. And here's what I think this means, because we are UUs and we all have different definitions of love. We all have different ways of expressing love. We all have different ideas about what that means. But I think what at the most basic level it means is that we care. We care. We want the world to be a better place. We have some general agreements about what that means, but then we each have our own priorities that come from different life experiences, from different gifts or talents that we might have, different preferences, different limitations. We each are unique, and that is a good thing because there's so much to do. Right? When John Behrens described the stained glass window as a metaphor for UUism, he reminded us, though, that the light it's beautiful coming through each of those panes of that stained glass. But that's not the light. The light is the love. The light is the something bigger. The light is the idea of care that we bring through our lives and our expressions into the world. It is, in fact, actually really hard to define the core of what puts the unity in this community. That is why we tend to get in some disagreements. It is why we tend to say, well, I'm not sure about that, right? The diversity makes the thing that holds us together a little bit difficult to define. We talk about being of like mind, which is close, but not quite it. As I've said before, being the person who talks to most everybody in the congregation, I can tell you we're not all of like mind. We all think differently. We talk about our shared values, which gets us closer, but we define those and express those differently. What I think really brings us together, and this is mushy stuff, is being of like heart. It's a little bit vague, but it's probably what gets us closer. Because how else could you put this many people in a room who have very different belief systems and still get them to work together to make the world a better place, right? Every UU church I've ever attended has a certain feeling to it, unique unto itself, and different from every other congregation. Every UU community, like the individuals within those communities, is distinct. Westside is like that. It is distinct. It is special. How many of you have attended any of the other UU congregations in Knoxville? Right? Would you agree that they're not the same? Every single UU congregation has its own personality. Even right here in Knoxville, even right here in this very specific cultural climate, even in this very specific moment in time, they're unique, right? Westside is akin to, but unique from, every other UU congregation in Knoxville and every other UU congregation in the state of Tennessee and every other UU congregation in the U.S. and even every other congregation in the world, because we have congregations all over the world. That is our strength. That is our greatest gift. What Unitarian Universalism has is this amazing ability to find unity in difference, to create community out of something that's a little bit hard to define and really unique to every congregation. We are the living embodiment of the value of diversity, pluralism, and interdependence, right? We actually are a living experiment in doing that. So today we're going to be celebrating that. That's what we're going to do. We're going to celebrate. I want to thank you for being part of the bold and courageous experiment that is this particular tradition. This particular expression here at Westside couldn't be what it is without you. It's a sort of magical combination. We truly mean it when we say that every single person, every single voice, every single perspective matters here. And think about it for a minute. Isn't that unusual in our world? Think about that in our world, where fitting in and being the same and having the same shoes and wearing the same clothes, watching the same movies, having all the cultural like all the things that allow you to fit in, where that is so highly valued. And here, we're saying, no, we want you to be your unique self. So thank you for being part of that. Today, because this is a really short service, we're almost done. Today, one of my favorite parts of the way we are doing our Canvas kickoff now is this amazing game about learning weird things about each other. So we are going to be doing that in a few minutes, right? And Michelle, is there anything else we need to know about the party itself?
No, just everybody have fun and enjoy the game, and that'd be great.
Okay, and there's going to be food, so it's a regular potluck, and there'll be a game. Anne has her hand up.
And there's going to be pledge forms.
And there's, by the way, back to the justice and generosity portion of this. So, like, you know, why do we have a kickoff? Why do we have a Canvas kickoff? Last week, we had our first of 2 congregational meetings where we proposed the budget for the coming year. And in May 18th, we'll have our second meeting. And I love this. Pledge now through May 2nd. So the way this works, there are lots of ways you can support Westside. Showing up is a great way. Participating in our activities. And at the end of the month, we're going to be having our first Family Promise that we've had in a while, and we're going to be supporting another congregation by helping them do a family promise week. We have lots of things going on that you can read about and learn about. You can support us on a weekly basis. There's a QR code where if you just want to, if you're with us virtually and you just want to make a donation today, that is awesome. And we also have a new Share the Plate partner. Our spring quarter partner is our LGBTQIA plus partner, so that's Knox Pride. So this month, April, May, and June, is our quarter when any special donations and any just cash that's donated that's not designated, we take a portion of that and we give that to Knox Pride. So those are things you can do. But the way we figure out how we're going to be a community next year is by people making commitments. So if you are a person who is interested in or ready to or has been for years and years making a pledge, this is the next few weeks when we do that. So Anne, our finance chair, who is charged with figuring out aforementioned budget and proposing it to you all, she has pledge forms. So if you're ready to fill out your pledge form, that is great. You have until May, beginning of May, and then in the middle of May, we'll have another congregational meeting. Based on the pledges we get, we do our best guess to create a budget for the coming year. And this is also, as we're having our celebration today, this is also a chance if you have questions about the budget or about the campaign or about how Westside works, don't hesitate to ask Anne or me. I'm going to put Craig on the spot. Craig, raise your hand too. Craig can also answer questions. And where's Barry? Barry's in the back corner. Barry is our board president and Craig is our treasurer. Any of us, and so if you're a board member, other board members who are here, raise your hand. Other board members. So you can answer, we'll answer questions if you have questions about the logistics. All right, does anybody have any questions? Okay, so we're not going to stand up. We're not going to blow the chalice out. We're not going to have a benediction. We're not going to close. We're just going to say, I like to move it, move it. This is Chris's song from last week. I like to move it, move it. I like to move it. I invite you all to just enjoy yourselves, have fun. And Michelle, are we just going to start setting out potluck food now? Yes.
Yeah, everybody can please enjoy coffee and drinks, and we're going to be setting up the food over there. Definitely need help doing that, a couple of people. And then please wait to get in line until it's announced.
Yep. So anybody who wants to help set up the food, feel free to do that. Anybody, and then we will announce when the food is ready for us to get in line. So have a great time, everyone.